doing some knowledge management work for them. And I'm going to talk to you today about shift optimization being the definition of done. If you do tweet about this, feel free to mention me. Any feedback would be most appreciated in the future areas of the talk. So, before we start, a quick question, show of hands. I'm going to give you a question, and I've got 4 answers, and stick your hand up when you hear the answer that you think is right. Should documentation be the definition of done? Yes, always. Okay. No, always. Or no, most of the time. Okay. It's context dependent.
Everything is.
And I don't know, that's why you're here, Rob. Shut up and talk to us. Right, fair enough. Okay. It's very tricky to determine this, the answer to this question, because baked right into the structure of Scrum, which is, when we're talking about this definition of done, we are really talking about Scrum. Scrum was designed by developers, and developers are lovely people. I was a developer once, and I worked with them for a number of years, 15 in fact. But the one thing developers don't really care about is documentation. In the nicest possible way, they're not really that bothered about it. So in order to understand the answer to this question, we kind of need to get into a little bit of theory about how Scrum works and why it works the way it does, so that we can then try and crowbar what we need to do into it, because it's not a process that is designed for documentation. So, this should be pretty familiar to all of you. Has anybody here not seen this? Good, so you're all familiar with it. You start off with a big bunch of requirements from a customer, you design it, you implement it, which means you develop and test it, you document it, you verify it using user acceptance testing and something like that, and then you go into some form of maintenance mode. This works very well for us because we can do our documentation on the go, we can get it all from the specification, and we've got lots and lots of implementation and verification time to make sure that it's right. We can do the editorializing that we need to, that you mentioned at the end, we can tie everything together. Fantastic. Now this is essentially a production line, which will be a system whereby you have a bunch of specialists, basically a conveyor belt, and the product, in this case a piece of software, will go from specialist to specialist to specialist. Each specialist will do their specialist thing. When it comes to us, we'll do our documentation, and at the end of it, you get a product, and it's a repeatable system. Now, the problem you get with Waterfall, which I'm sure some of you have experienced, is this. This is the key problem. We've all been here. You start off with a specification, fantastic. You make one wrong assumption somewhere along the line, or there's a bit of miscommunication, you haven't quite understood the user need, and your expectation disappears off in that direction, while you disappear off in that direction, and at the end of it, the customer gets something which is not quite what they wanted from you. So they end up with that. Or that. Or for those of you over the age of 35, God forbid, that. I mean, can you believe it? Stonewashed Dennis, man, what was he thinking? And also, that, which is allegedly the main reason that didn't sell was because when they tried it in this great city of London, they realised that the users' faces were directly in line with bus exhausts. Shockingly, people didn't want to use it. Can't think why. But what the customer really wanted, those of you under 35, was obviously that, the most fantastic mode of transport known to man.
Actually.
So we've all been in that situation where you've had that problem. And the way that Scrum works is to stop this. It's specifically designed to stop you getting in a situation where you end up with a Sinclair C5 when what you really wanted is Segway. And it does that by a process of iterative development. So Waterfall is big bang, specification, do it all over months, sometimes years. Hands up if you work in government, civil service. Okay, but all of you are going to be familiar with large-scale implementations or legislation that's taken a year to write. Don't need to go into detail of all those horrible things that can happen, but we've all been in situations where we've had a big bang delivery and it's not been quite right. With Agile, you don't get that. The aim is, worst case scenario, you lose 1 Scrum's worth of time. So I think somebody was asking a question about losing documentation because someone else has, or they've changed something. Well, yeah, okay, you can lose that in Scrum, but the developers and the testers and everyone else lose it as well. It's not just us. The idea is the team loses a Scrum, but that's worst case scenario. You get to your review, customer or stakeholder representative looks at what you've done, says that's not right. Worst case scenario, you scrap it and you start again. That's okay, that's fine. That's what it's supposed to do. Fail fast, fail. If you're doing Agile, you'll be familiar with this. So I won't talk through it very much, other than to say, big product backlog, take a slice off, put it into your sprint, run through your sprint, get to your review, work out if it's right or if it's wrong, move on to the next sprint. Everyone familiar with that? Yeah? Now, that is not a production line at all. It's very much like a collective farm. The idea is that in a sprint, everybody can do everything. Now, this is where it's a problem that it was invented by developers. What the hell happened there? Developers. Sorry, my bad. This is a collective farm. Now, it is extremely hard to find a screenshot or an image of a collective farm that isn't Soviet iconography or Animal Farm. So that should give you the rough idea. Everyone working together. The problem you have is that developers put together Scrum, put together the Agile Manifesto, which is why they value working with software and comprehensive documentation, which is an entirely different 25-minute talk. They didn't think of documentation. So when they said you have a multifunctional team, everyone can do everything, because your developers are not going to be to design something or test it. Documentation, anyone can do that. Wrong. That's not the fact that anyone can do that. We are in a very, very different situation. Who here works in a multifunctional team? By that I mean everyone on your team can do every job as well as everyone else. Stick your hands up. Okay. Anyone know of any teams like that? Good, so this is kind of proving my point. I work with a guy, I was trained by a guy called Pete Neasy, who works for a company called RadTag. Some of you have heard of that company, they're a big Agile consultancy. He was the guy who did my certified Scrum Master training. He's been doing consultation and coaching on Agile for 25 plus years, and he's worked in dozens of countries, hundreds of companies and thousands of teams. He's found one multifunctional team. One, that's it. And they didn't have to do documentation. And the problem you have is pretty simple on this. There is a unicorn that are Scrum, and a unicorn is a very desirable, very valuable animal, but it's essentially mythical. And that unicorn is the multifunctional team. They don't exist. This is why documentation is a problem in Scrum, because we can't be multifunctional. I'm not saying we can't do some development, we can't do some testing. But if you're doing complex development, it's no good getting somebody that's done a couple of years of some kind of boot camp coding and throwing them onto the software. They're going to do a terrible job. Likewise, and I say this with all due respect to all developers I've ever met, very few of them are ever going to do the documentation as well as we do it. Because it's not just writing content, it's using the tools. It's understanding the process, it's knowing what a persona is. It's all this good stuff that they know nothing about. Any idiot can write, very few people can write well. And developers have a very different mindset and a very different skill set. So, the problem you end up with is this. Documentation as the hard edge. And what that means is, in a team, even if you are incredibly agile, software development is still a linear process. Yeah? It is still a production line. There's nothing you can do about that. And what I mean by that is testing cannot finish until development is finished. And documentation cannot finish until testing is finished. And the reason for that is because of rework. So, when a developer has a piece of code they've done, it can't be signed off as done until testing has said, yeah, that's fine, that meets all the user requirements. Once that happens, and the tester has signed it off and said, okay, I'm happy with the testing, I've done that, at that point I can sign off my documentation. But I can't sign it off before that because it's still liable to change. Yeah? It's a linear process. So what happens is, this happens just as much in Agile as it does in Waterfall in a lot of teams, is you can think of the time as an accordion. Yeah? And as you get towards the end of the sprint, which is where we sit, time compresses and compresses and compresses. Humans are incredibly bad at estimating. I'm sure you've all sat in sessions where you've gone, right, we're going to estimate all this stuff, and when the real world hits you, you find your estimates are shockingly poor. Again, that's another talk on why that is. Developers and testers take more time than they think. We get compressed right to the end. And we get that just as much in Agile as we do in Waterfall. The only difference is, in waterfall, people are expecting us to have something done in 2 weeks if we have documentation and the definition of done. So it's a little bit tricky. So my all-time favourite pictures. The multifunctional team hard work. So, this brings us on to the question of whether or not we actually should put documentation in the definition of done. Now, if we had a team of unicorns, the answer would be very simple. In Scrum, the answer is simple. Yes. There you go. Thank you very much for talk over. But unfortunately, these fellows don't exist. So the answer is a lot more nuanced. Hands up if documentation is in your definition of done. Right up in the air. Okay, keep your hands up. Keep your hand up if you think it should be in your definition of done. Interesting. Okay. Don't just ask you. I like these things. It's nice to know where people are saying. But that's not many hands, which is quite an interesting scenario when you think about it, because we're all Agile writers. We're all working, presumably, in some form of Scrum or variant thereof. By rights, documentation should be in the definition of done, and yet virtually nobody here either has it in the definition of done or thinks it should be, which means there is a problem. It's an industry-wide problem. It's not you. It's not your team. It's Scrum. And to be clear, I love Scrum. I think it's a very, very powerful, great development methodology. But it doesn't work very well for us, and we need to find ways we can ameliorate these problems. So, if you have a multifunctional team, keep it simple. It's just a task. Fine, no problem whatsoever. Stick your documentation in the definition of done. So we've accepted that we can't do that. So there are a number of questions you can ask yourself that you can use to determine whether or not it should or shouldn't be your own individual situation. Good news is, no right answer. Also, no wrong answer is what works. Scrum is about expecting and adapting. So I've got some questions you can ask yourself, and you can change them as you see fit for your own scenarios, because everybody is going to be in a different scenario. First, we're still in the realm of keeping this very, very simple. Is documentation one of your deliverables? Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. There's lots of scenarios where, for example, as Andrew said, you do a back-end sprint, you don't need documentation, it's not really deliverables for that sprint, no problem, take that. Or if you're working on a large-scale legislative situation, you might find you've got 6 months between the start and the end, in which case documentation is only deliverable for release, not for your sprint. Why put yourself in a horrible position where you are going to be the person that's most likely to fail, you're at the end of that accordion, and you've got all this work to do? Take it out of the deliverables, deliver it at the end. Otherwise, you're setting yourselves up to fail. There's no point. You have to be in a position where you're not crowbarring stuff in. This is not what you want to be doing with Scrum. It's okay to change Scrum and make it slightly more difficult in order to get a better result if everybody's on board. But don't put yourself in a position where you are essentially asking yourself to do something which you know there's a good chance you're going to fail at doing. You shouldn't be committing to that in Scrum. You shouldn't sit in your planning and go, yeah, I'm happy to commit to this. If you can't do it, you shouldn't be committing to it. I appreciate it's not that simple in the real world, but this is theoretical. So, let's have a few useful questions you can ask yourselves. Number one, can anyone other than the writer complete documentation tasks? None of you work in a multifunctional team, we've established that, but you might work in a semi-functional team. If you don't, you'll work in a single functional team. Those are your three options. A single functional team is where each individual person in your team can only do one thing. They can develop, they can test, they can write, whatever. As a side note, you might also have designers, architects, whatever in your team, but I'm using developers, testers, and writers to keep it simple because pretty much everyone has those. If you've only got a single functional team, i.e. everyone can only do one thing, then you will hit that accordion because you are essentially doing mini waterfall. Every sprint you're going to be doing a mini waterfall. Under that scenario, having documentation and definition of done again is the setup to fail. Because you're very unlikely to finish it through the sprint out unless you have a very understanding team that really gets what you do and really will help you to do everything they can to possibly make sure you can get it done. How many of you work for a team like that? No hands. Well, that's sad and dark, really, but it's also the truth. This is sort of real politics for Scrum. So, if you are a single functional team then you're probably best off trying to take it out of the definition of done, because you're going to struggle. And bear in mind, this is not about when you do documentation, or if you do documentation. It's about when you fail. Will your team consistently not meet their definition of done because of you? Not because it's your fault, but because the documentation hasn't been done, and that is on you, more than the other. So if you're committed to something you can't do, and you're in a team that hasn't got the skills to help you do it, you're making a rod for your own back. Second question. What proportion of documentation would you then put by the writer? Now, in a place I used to work, I had a rule of thumb, which was if a bug came in, I could do it in 15 minutes. We'd implemented some decent policies, which development kind of agreed with, which was when we have a bug, we're still in planning, we'd all have to understand what it was, in grooming, we'd all have to understand what it was, we had good development documentation. I knew before the sprint started what the problem was, why it happened, who logged the call, what the fix was going to be. Bugs don't generally tend to have rework. It might bounce between development and testing 20 times, but the fix will be the fix. Yeah? You press this button, software crashes. Well, it doesn't matter how long it takes to fix that problem for development. You know what the documentation is. It's not going to change. You also get some very small UI changes potentially, or things which you know will not take you very long to do. And the reason this is important, the reason this is your key metric, is because it determines how much work you can do in the Scrum and still get the end of, get to the end of the sprint and get the definition of done. So you end up with this. This is not a cast iron law by any stretch of the imagination, but I found that in general it works. If you're a single functional team, i.e. each person can only do one item, or one task, one role, if you haven't got 75% minimum, you're probably going to fail. Because there's too much leeway for stuff to go wrong. There's too many situations where things could overrun, and again, you hit that accordion, and you fall off. Likewise, in the semi-functional team, I'd say at least 50% more, although that's a bit more flexible depending on who can write the documentation or help you write documentation in the team. One of the big issues you find with quote-unquote simple documentation is that the decision needs to be yours as to what's simple and what's not. We've all been in that situation, I suspect, or a lot of us have been, where developers made a one-day change. It's taken you 3 weeks to document because it goes across so many different products, so many different families. You've got to change huge amounts. I remember working for one company, they changed the branding, and it was just one logo, just like JPEG, sat in the corner of the software. You got over 2,000 screenshots. And they said, oh, okay, well, how long are you talking about that? And I said, a month? And they went, well, it's only a little JPEG. What's wrong with you people? Anyway, so you need to decide what's an easy thing to do. Okay? If it's easy for you, you can do it quickly, and you're the only person working on the team, make sure you can fill up most of your sprint plan. If not, again, you're probably looking at no. And I'm going to keep stressing this. This is not because you're doing something wrong. This is because documentation should not be the part of the software development process that causes you to not get your definition of done. With all due respect, within these four walls, we all know that developers do not always accord us with the full respect you might like to think we deserve for the highly technical skill job we do. When you are repeatedly the person or people who are making them not hit their definition of done, it doesn't help anybody. So, assuming that you have hit this, assuming you've got your minimum, fair enough, you're still not on a yes, but at least you're not on a no. Next question. This is really, really key. When you come to your grooming, this is a question, a sad question to ask. Who here participates in their team's grooming sessions? Okay. Who here knows their team has grooming sessions but doesn't participate in them for whatever reason? Okay, so who here teams don't do grooming then? Because only about 10% of you put your hands up to those two questions. So you have a bigger problem, which is, do they not grooming? Anyway, more importantly than that, I guess, whichever way you're going to get your input, you need to make sure that pretty much 99% of the time it's going to be high and consistent. By that I mean every single time, are you getting wireframes? So you know what it's going to look like, you know what it's going to look like. Are you getting information about what parameters will change when they make this and how that will affect the rest of the software? Are you getting any kind of logo changes, for example, told to you up front? And is it consistent? Are you getting this from one developer? Are you getting it from all developers? Because if you're not getting reliable input, then you're not going to have reliable output in any sensible time. We've all got the phrase rubbish in, rubbish out, except without the word rubbish. Use another word of your own choice. Documentation is no different. If you are getting rubbish in, you will find it very hard to produce good documentation. Especially when you are, I'm going to tell you, at the end of that coding, at the end of your script. We've all been in that position, I'm guessing, where, I say we all, most people have been in that position where there's an element of being sat at the start of the sprint, kind of twiddling your thumbs while developers kick on and do stuff, and then by the time it gets to the end of the sprint, they're probably off grooming while you're frantically typing, trying to get everything done. Consistent, reliably defined consistent input will help with that. Number of deliverables less than 2. If you are single sourcing, then it's less than 2, so you're okay. But you've got a twofold issue here. You don't want to have to write stuff twice, and you don't want to have to produce 2 deliverables. Because, as we know, producing a deliverable is the overarching theme of what you're doing. Documentation is not just saying, okay, here's the bug, this is what you do. It's everything that goes with that to produce documentation that you can put up on your website and you can hand out in a God forbid PDF, because no bugs sometimes it happens. So if you've got one deliverable, you can probably manage it because you've only got one thing to keep hold of. If you have 2 deliverables and you're not single sourcing, you are essentially doubling your workload. Who here can handle having their workload doubled and still get the definition of done? Anyone? There you go, speak for yourself. It was mentioned earlier about standards and slow stuff down. They can, but they can also speed things up. The single most time-consuming thing a person will do, possibly in their life, is make decisions. Humans are, as a rule, bad at making decisions. They're very bad at making consistent decisions. And some people just really, really hate making decisions, full stop. I'm not talking about how you decide to document something, but I'm talking about naming conventions. The simple stuff. What style sheets you use, how you format headings, whatever it is. Have them restricted. You don't have to think about it. You get a piece of documentation in, and you just write it because you've got everything set up. You know what your standards are, you just use them. There will be people in this room who go, it's nonsense, I can make decisions like that. And you probably can. But I will guarantee you don't get exactly the same decision every single time. Especially if you haven't made that decision for 6 months, because you haven't worked on that documentation for 6 months. So make sure you have this set up so that rather than you having to decide left, right, straight on, whatever, you just go straight down the road, document. Fire one. Our enhancements front-loaded by the team. This is where Agile can be more of a team sport, shall we say. I've worked with teams who have basically said, screw you. We're not prepared to do that, it makes it more difficult for us. I've worked with teams who have said to me, right, yeah, fine, we'll do everything we can, front load everything. By the end of the first week, all the UI enhancements will be done, so that you can crack on and get those done next week. That meant I could actually pretty much get the definition done, sorted, because the team helped me out. And it is a team environment. If you are the team and the technical writer, you're not doing it right. Most likely, that means the team is not doing it right, as opposed to you. If your team are not, this is kind of almost symbolic. If your team aren't willing to do this, what else aren't they willing to do for you? If they are willing to do this, then it means they actually give a damn about whether or not you get the documentation done. It means they actually care about you and your job and what you do. This is a very, very important thing. So, if you're hitting your minimum number of easy, quick items to document, and you can answer at least 3 out of those 4 questions, I'd say you probably, you can put documentation and definition of done because you've got enough in your favour. Because this is about probability, this is about likelihoods. There's no cast iron maths behind this that would say this will definitely work or definitely not work. But from experience, those 4 questions there If you've got enough documentation you can do like that, and those questions I've found have worked very, very well over a number of years, to determine whether or not I can or cannot say, yes, I'm doing the definition of that. Alright, very good. Cool. Questions?
In the past, I've worked for Agile teams where we tried a couple of different techniques for including documentation in the definition of done.
Yep.
The first was to actually create documentation as a separate user story
Yes.
and track that separately. And the other, when they didn't really like how that went, was to actually create documentation as part of the user story, going through sort of like done, verified, tested, all that kind of stuff. So documentation was part of the flow in that respect. What would be your take on these two techniques?
Well, I don't think it needs to be added as a separate user story because it's not. I see documentation almost as a service in the same way that testing is. It's a different kind of service, but essentially you have the software and you need various specialists to do stuff with it or to make it ready for release. Documentation is one of those things. So I'm not a fan of making user stories for every single piece of documentation because I feel it takes us out of the actual software development process. You might want to have your own overarching, this is what I've got to do at the end that I'm going to have to do in every single release type user story. Yeah? So I've got to basically hit generate on Flare or whatever it is and put it into a Jekyll template or whatever. But in general, no, I would say not separate user stories. What was the second one you mentioned?
The second bit was to make it part of, so if a developer has the user story that they're working on, part of the flow that they have to go through, including like having it tested and then verified, the very last thing before you can say, yes, this is closed off, is it documented?
Yes, I don't have a problem per se with that. It does depend on not the quality of the documentation they produce. There is the idea, especially when you're using Deisha and things like that, people like the idea that you can just use a chunk of text in Notepad or whatever, and then we can put it into or whatever it is we want to do. We can just copy and paste it wherever we want. My concern with that is that because you have this working software with a comprehensive documentation mentality, developers don't really bother thinking about how they're targeting their documentation or what they need to say or how they need to say it. They put down potentially raw information, which is still useful, but raw information and documentation are two very, very different things. So really it depends on the skills of your team, what they're willing to give you, how much they're willing to be guided by you, how much they're willing to have their ass kicked by you, quite frankly, if they're not doing it right. I've worked with developers who will find that, they want to know when they're not doing it right and they'll do it better. And I will not say they're a rare breed, but they're not as common as the ones who just don't care. Yeah? That is a very context-dependent thing. If it works for you, fantastic, we know how to. If it doesn't, figure out do something else. Anyway?
Mostly working with context, whether Agile or that basis. And is Flare the group tool to use for documenting an Agile framework?
Yes, because you can, primarily from my perspective, because it's single source. And also you can use Flare with command line tools to automate a lot of it. So the generation goes straight to the website and be uploaded automatically to live just by pressing the button, which does make continuous integration and documentation much, much easier. The good news is the person after me is Ellis, who amongst other things is a bit of a tools guru. and he's probably the right man to ask that question, because whilst I have used Flare, I would not describe myself as a tools expert in it. I know a man who is.
If you just want to do
If I had to define what the primary difference is.
I've only ever worked with and so what we have to understand how to do documentation.
Start off with an easy question. Good. I'd say the primary difference between the two is simply turnaround time. I mean, my experience of Agile teams is
I've seen very few Agile teams that are actually Agile, where everyone's able to work on stuff all at the same time and you get that kind of circular effect. It does tend to be a series of mini waterfalls, that's what it ends up boiling down to. But a big part of that, which is a whole other topic, is the fact that the power of Scrum doesn't really lie in the Scrum team so much as it lies in the culture of the company. If everybody has the in the company has the idea that continuous improvement is king, then you have a much better chance of seeing it work, where people will work together to get stuff done because they understand the ultimate goal. But what tends to happen is people will go, right, let's do Agile. So the dev teams are going to be Scrum teams, and then nothing else changes apart from the product managers become product owners. It's a complete waste of time. It fails, and it fails repeatedly. Yeah, all or nothing. Before I go then, any questions? For those of you who, this has nothing to do with Agile documentation, for those of you who do anything with open API, Swagger or Swaggerly or API documentation or Git in general, I suggest you check out WTDLondon. It's very recently been released by Company's House, very young chief architect, Chris Smith. Great on Swaggerly, really. It's a lovely piece of kit. Strongly recommended you check it out if you need to. It is Creative Commons, doesn't cost anything, it's all web-based, and it is fantastic if you're into our documentation. Okay, thank you very much.